Leads the table after a superb win at a rain-soaked Mallory a couple of weeks ago, a man who's already won 6 British Championships. It's Roger Marshall leading by 3 from race 1 and by 5 from James Witham. Once again, it's 15 laps of the club circuit, and once again our commentators Barry Nutley and Nick Harris.
The grid lineup for the British Midland 1300cc Moto Prix Trophy race, the second round of the British Championship. In pole position, Roger Marshall, alongside him Ray Swan, Jamie Whittam, David Griffith, Phil Mellor, Steve Williams, Mark Phillips and Simon Buckmaster. A good front row in these deteriorating conditions, with the rain now pouring down. At 69, Jamie Whittam, the 21-year-old from Huddersfield in Yorkshire, who won the last round of the Superstock Championship.
What a contrast for him. Race 1 privateer, back from 90 degrees at Jarama in Spain, the Portuguese Grand Prix, to torrential rain at Silverstone, but lying second in the championship at the moment.
Championship leader Roger Marshall, 36 years old, from Grimsby on South Humberside, 7 times British Championship. He could have ridden in the TT Formula 1 World Championship round at Hockenheim today, but in fact he decided to ride here at Silverstone. He'll know after 15 laps of this Silverstone circuit if he made the right choice, but it's Roger Marshall leading the championship, his 18th year of racing. The conditions really now couldn't be worse. The rain is pouring down, there's puddles of rain all over the course, so there's Roger Marshall, number 11, number 4, Race 1, and alongside him, number 69, Jamie Whittam. Marshall, with the visor of his helmet just slightly open to avoid condensation, 36 years old, 7 times British champion, leads the championship after the first round at Mallory Park in very similar conditions. Number 4, Race 1, riding the 500cc Honda 2-stroke machine, 30 seconds before the off. Race 1, as Barry so rightly said, rode in the Portuguese Grand Prix at Jarama in Spain last weekend. Conditions couldn't be more different. It was hot, over 100 degrees. Now it's pouring with rain, the rain's on night, and the lights go to green. The race has started 15 laps in this 1.608 mile Silverstone Club circuit, and it's number 10, Phil Mellor, with a good start there. Also number 16, Keith Hewen on the Yamaha, and it's in fact it's Hewen leading, Mellor alongside him, and Roger Marshall in third place. Also well-placed Roger Hurst, but conditions, Barry, couldn't be worse.
They're appalling, but what a sneaky start by Hewen. He slipped through there beautifully to take up the running at the inside there at Copse. Conditions absolutely dreadful as they go around that gradual left-hander from Maggots up towards the very, very tight right-hander at Beckett's. Mellor and Marshall slipped through on the inside, and now Hewen. Mellor's down into 4th. Hewen leads as they come away along the long straight towards us.
And that's Keith Hewen in the lead from Wellingborough, close by to the Silverstone circuit. But now Roger Marshall coming alongside him, and Marshall taking the lead. Marshall telling me he was approaching 170 miles an hour down this straight in the dry conditions. Brakes hard now for Woodcote. Number 11, Marshall. Number 16, Keith Hewen. Number 10, Phil Mellor. Marshall through Woodcote leads. Hewen second. 19, who is Roger Hurst in third place. But Marshall still leads up the main straight. Hewen, number 16, in second place. Roger Hurst, number 19, third, and Phil Mellor in 4th place. And Jamie Whittam, I think, also in the pack there. But Marshall leads rather gingerly through Copse Corner, a great plume of spray from the back wheels of these machines. They accelerate up to the very fast left-hander at Maggots Curve, flat out about 140 miles an hour. They sit up now, brake hard, go down into second gear for Beckett. Marshall leads, Hewen second, Hurst third. Down the main straight, approaching the bridge.
There can be no question about tyre choice now, Nick. The conditions firmly settled, torrential rain, streaming down, puddles of water all over the circuit. You can see lack of visibility. The riders must have a horrendous job even seeing where they're going as they come down towards us now, the new tight version of Woodcote. Roger Marshall very, very carefully through, easing away ever so slightly from Roger Hurst. Hewen on the inside, Mellor still there tucked in. And there you can see Hurst having a look at the back end of Hewen, but Marshall inching away, pulling that big Suzuki away. Hurst through on the inside. Hewen still in third, and Mellor.
Well, really, as Barry said, conditions couldn't be worse. The rain absolutely pouring down now. There's actually puddles on the circuit. This is the battle for second place between number 16, Keith Hewen, Roger Hurst, who won the televised Superstock race at Cadwell Park, and number 4, Ray Swan. Race 1 on the 500cc Honda. A good battle now for second place, very gingerly through Beckett's corner, onto the main straight. Keith Hewin, former British champion, former Grand Prix runner, riding for the Loctite Yamaha team. Team manager Steve Parrish, his wife Ruth, produced a baby this morning for him, so great celebrations in the camp. But Hewin second, Swan now into third place, and Roger Hurst fourth. Almost line abreast through Woodcote corner on their fourth lap as they come through. Hurst now up into second place. Hewin though snatching it back on the inside. What a battle for second, appalling addition. There's Roger Marshall with that distinctive star on his black helmet on the 1100cc Suzuki. Hardly the ideal machine for these sort of conditions, a top speed of 175 miles an hour, but Roger Marshall, as always, riding so smoothly and so safely in the rain. This is still the battle for second place. There's now Ray Swan up into second place on the 500cc Honda. Two-stroke Honda, three-cylinder, British Formula 2 champion. Safely through Beckett, down the straight. Keith Hewin tucked in behind him on the Yamaha. Roger Hurst now from Aylesbury, just dropping off the pace a little bit. You can hardly pick the riders up through the spray, but this is the battle for second place. They're on their fourth lap. Roger Marshall appears through the mist, approaching 160 miles an hour, brakes, sits up, brakes hard, down into second gear, very gingerly splashes his way through the puddles at Woodcote corner. He's through the start and finish area now to start his fifth lap. Roger Marshall, Ray Swan in second place on the two-stroke Honda. Third place, Keith Hewin, and in fourth place, Roger Hurst. Well, Barry, we were worried about choice of tyres earlier before the race started, but no doubt everybody on full wet tyres.
No question about it, and they're hanging on really well. The surface here at Silverstone, I spoke to some of the riders earlier, they said the surface was fairly grippy, even with this amount of water on it, but they did say they would rather have it bucketing down than the situation we had before the race when we had neither one thing nor the other. But now they well and truly have it bucketing down. No question about it, full wets it is. Marshall using his 17 years of riding experience to the full, and by golly, he needs it.
So this is a good battle between Roger Hurst and Gary Knoll, the former European 250cc champion, who starred in a television meeting here at Silverstone in a 250cc machine, with a great battle with Donnie McLeod. But really, this is the battle for fourth and fifth. You can hardly pick them out as they come through the spray. That's Roger Hurst. Number 7 is Gary Knoll, the engine fitter for British Airways, and Gary Knoll sneaks his way through. So a great performance here by Gary Knoll. Number 7, Gary Knoll, former European 250 champion. Number 19, Roger Hurst. Through the spray, up they come to Copse Corner. That's Keith Hewin.
Gary Knoll, of course, Nick, wearing a number that all of us who've been watching motorcycle racing for many years will recognise as that having been worn by Barry Sheene. I wonder if that does anything to his performance today.
Here's Roger Marshall, though, safely splashing his way through Beckett's corner. An 1100cc Suzuki. Gently eases on the power as he splashes through the puddles down the main straight. 165 miles an hour through the spray. Really not the splendid way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Look at the mist and spray as he comes under the bridge, sits up. The first thing you see of Roger Marshall is that distinctive white star on his black helmet. He's through Woodcote, starting his 6th lap. Roger Marshall. In second place, Ray Swan, and Ray Swan, known as an expert in the rain, number 4 on the 500cc two-stroke Honda, and he's certainly catching Roger Marshall at the moment. Ray Swan, Barry, known as a rain expert, and he's definitely catching Marshall.
Absolutely, and a privateer, of course, Nick, has been on the Grand Prix season, as you said, all this year. Told me he reckons his Grand Prix season costs him about £45,000 just to race his bike in Grand Prix, assisted, of course, with a sponsor. None of these blokes could go road racing without a sponsor. Very, very important to keep the world of motorcycle racing alive.
And as we saw at the previous 250cc race, back mark is going to play a big part in this race, and Roger Marshall getting past one, then Roger Marshall again almost disappearing in the spray as he races down the main straight. He's now on his 7th lap, 15-lap race. Can we pick him out through the mist? Yes, you just see that white star on the black helmet. Roger Marshall, and Ray Swan is closing. Very carefully through, splashes through the puddles at Woodcote. And what's the distance now? It's a matter of some 20-25 yards, Ray Swan. And a little wobble there from Roger Marshall as he's on his way. Number 11 on the 1100cc Suzuki, closing all the time on the 3-cylinder 500cc two-stroke Honda Race 1. They're on their 8th lap. Swan closing all the time. Roger Marshall no doubt aware of the situation.
And Roger Marshall, Nick, lapping at 1 minute 05, which gives him a speed round here of 89 miles an hour despite the conditions. I find that absolutely amazing. 89 miles an hour, the track is absolutely flooded. How do they do it?
And it's a back marker once again, getting in the way of Roger Marshall. But Roger Marshall saved it, but the back marker really holding him up then. Not a very good bit of riding. I think John Lofthouse, that is, on the 750 Suzuki, almost clashing with Roger Marshall as he races down the straight. He's on his 8th lap. Marshall through the spray again, lapping at nearly 90 miles an hour in these conditions. Brakes hard. In fact, it wasn't John Lofthouse. I did him a dead surface. Here's Marshall, safely through Woodcote. Swan, really not closer. Also having problems with the back marker, but he's got the inside of the back marker. Gently easing the throttle through. Marshall, up the main straight, into the right-hander at Copse, a third gear right-hander. 90 miles an hour in the dry, I would say, 70, 75 in these conditions. Swan still got him in his sights, but I would think, if anything now, the gap barrier's just increased a little bit, and Roger Marshall probably got the hurry-up sign from the pits and just trying to put a space between him and Ray Swan.
There is definitely a cushion there, but Swan has come up well, hasn't he? Through 5th, 4th, 3rd, and now into 2nd place, and he's got Marshall firmly in his sights, and of course in these conditions he needs to stay pretty close to see anything at all. Marshall battling his way now through there. I'm going to put the watch on Swan next time he comes round just to see what he's lapping at, but Marshall still comfortably as he comes under the bridge. White star on the helmet, Roger Marshall. This is number 4, Ray Swan. Ray Swan coming towards us into the right-hander. I'm about to press the stopwatch as he comes past the commentary point. Now the clock is running on Swan.
And in fact, coming up into 3rd place, very fast indeed, is Keith Hewin on the big Yamaha 4-stroke. So the battle for 2nd place now hotting up. There's number 4, Ray Swan, and Keith Hewin from just round the corner at Wellingborough in Northants, the former British champion, number 16 on the Yamaha. He's closing all the time, so the battle closing up all the time. And Hewin, through Copse Corner, still has time to look over his shoulder to see if anybody's behind him. More back markers, though, for Roger Marshall as he's safely through Maggots up to Beckett. Braking hard. Number 25, that's Alan Batson, he's safely past him. Now round the outside of number 26, that's Malcolm Heath. Malcolm Heath riding the Norton machine. Nice to see Norton's back on a racetrack. This is Marshall. Safely down the main straight, under the bridge. The spray kicking up from his back wheel now. More back markers for him. And there we are, the white star on the helmet again through the mist. Marshall leads into Woodcote. They're on their 10th lap. Reflection of his machine clearly showing the puddles they go through, but the battle for 2nd place really hotting up now. Keith Hewin and Ray Swan almost together as they come through. That's Swan number 4, and that's Keith Hewin closing up all the time. Back marker again getting in the way of these two. That's Ian Wilson. Swan taking advantage of the back marker then. Again, Barry, as we said in that previous race, the back marker's playing a very important part.
Even more critical, I think, when the conditions are like this, because you're never quite sure which side of them to go. They obviously move over and let you through, but then you never quite know, so you don't know whether to go for the inside or the outside. Hewin now closing on Swan. Hewin very, very close indeed. This is a battle for 2nd and 3rd. Ray Swan, number 4 in 2nd place. Keith Hewin in 3rd, number 16 on the plate. You can hardly see the numbers from here. But there they are, you can see the gap between them, something like 20 machines lengths as they streak away now under the bridge, down towards our commentary point at Woodcote. Number 11, Roger Marshall, there you can see him clearly. There's 4, Ray Swan. There's 16, Keith Hewin.
Ray Swan, known as a rain expert, rode in the Portuguese Grand Prix last week, rushed back. He couldn't have really thought of conditions as bad as this, but he does like riding in the rain. Number 11, Roger Marshall, and this is the battle for 2nd. 4, Ray Swan. 16, Keith Hewin now having problems of getting past the back markers. Through the right-hander at Copse. Keith Hewin now safely through, but certainly getting held up then. 11, Roger Marshall. 36-year-old, 7 times British champion. He won the last round of this year's British Championship at Mallory Park in very similar conditions. And he's seemingly on his way to victory in the 2nd round of the championship. Roger Marshall, the back wheel of the Suzuki just twitching a little bit through the spray. 165 miles an hour down the straight, under the bridge. He brakes, he was telling me before the race, 300 yards before the bend, and Swan is closing. No doubt about it now. Ray Swan on the two-stroke Honda 500cc is definitely closing. He's got Roger Marshall firmly on his sights. They're now starting their 13th lap. These are the two leaders, Roger Marshall and Ray Swan.
I think the little battle between Swan and Hewin gave Swan the hurry up, and he's certainly piled the coals on now. He's reeling Marshall in. You can see now right in the slipstream as they go away over the rise, away to Maggott's Curve, round the gradual left-hander, down towards Beckett. Swan is winding Marshall in. Roger Marshall could be riding very carefully, saving it all for the last few laps, but nevertheless Swan is there. There's Marshall, there's Swan on his 500 Honda. Privateer, 13th last week in the Portuguese Grand Prix in Jarama. A good ride for him there. He obviously came to Silverstone very well inspired.
So Marshall seemingly down the main straight, just a little bit more power as they race down there under the bridge, approaching Woodcote. They're going to be starting their 14th lap. There'll be 2 to go. This is the gap, and certainly under braking at Woodcote. Swan closes right up, and he certainly has closed right up this time. 2 laps to go. Swan getting on the inside of Roger Marshall. He might even have a little nip at him as they go up the main straight. Marshall, a very quick glance to his right, and no doubt about who's there. It's Ray Swan, again trying to get at the inside as they go into Cops Corner, and Swan's got him. Swan's in the lead. Marshall has to back off, and Ray Swan in the lead. Roger Marshall just having to back off at the last minute on that big Suzuki. They begin to Maggots, and then braking hard for Beckett. Surely Roger Marshall will have a go back at him.
I think the 500 Honda of Ray Swan's is proving more easy to handle in these conditions. That big 1100 Suzuki must be one terrific handful. Marshall slipping through again on the inside. So Marshall gets the lead back. Swan relegated again to second. I don't think this is the end of this duel. They're at it neck and neck, tooth and nail as they go away now towards the bridge. Conditions absolutely dreadful. Marshall stretching that lead again. You can see now 20 machine lengths. Ray Swan hasn't given up. We're looking for the action as they come down towards Woodcote.
So they're about to start their last lap, and it's Marshall leading, but this is where Swan's so good through Woodcote. He's again close right up on the tail of Roger Marshall. They come through, spray kicking off the back wheel of both of their machines. They accelerate away as hard as they dare in these conditions. Marshall, head tucked under the fairing of that big Suzuki, and again a back marker unwittingly could get in their way. 11 Marshall, 4 Swan, the right-hander at Cox. Both safely through, but Swan again trying to take the inside line through the flat-out 140 mile an hour Maggots Curve, the left-hander, before braking for Beckett. Oh, and the back markers again have held Swan up, but Swan's through. But Marshall now through Beckett on his way down the main straight. It's all going to take place at Woodcote, the final right-hand bend into the start and finish straight. Certainly Ray Swan seems braver on the brakes at that particular position, but Roger Marshall now trying to open as large a gap as he dare down the main straight. Who's going to brake last? Who's going to be into Woodcote? In the lead, I think it's going to be Roger Marshall. I think the gap's just a little bit too lead for Ray Swan, but Swan still having a go as they come through. Swan trying to ride around the outside of Roger Marshall, not succeeding. It's a win for Roger Marshall. Ray Swan in second place. Keith Hewin now over the line third. Terry Reimer in fourth place. Gary Knoll coming safely through now. Tremendous battle for fifth place, but Gary Knoll in fifth place. But there's Roger Marshall shaking hands with Ray Swan as they race their way through the spray. A magnificent race, but no doubt about the winner. It's Roger Marshall. He now scored 30 British Championship points. So Roger Marshall wins a magnificent race with Ray Swan, and Roger Marshall doubles his score in the British Championship and keeps his lead.
Yes,